and I hit it, flipped off, and just landed right on my head. Skull cracked in half, my lung filled with blood and vomit. So I stopped breathing right then and there. For me, actually, when I left my body, I didn't experience any grief. I didn't experience any pain. My body had died, but I didn't die. I was alive. I went on to the third heaven where Jesus showed me the truth of time, but I wasn't limited by the earth's clock anymore.
Yeah.
And he showed me time as a cloth. It was the past, the present, and the future, and it was all wrapped up. And he was not limited by time, but time was limited by him. Part of the things he went on to show me was we were not the only ones that were ever like on this earth or in this universe. I found that on my left and on my right, on the up and in the down, in the golden streets and in the mansions and in the mountains and the trees, it wasn't about the things. They spoke of him. They sung a song of him. They had a hymn. You would look at the flowers and you would say, wow, Jesus, you're beautiful. You would look at the trees and you'd say, Jesus, you're beautiful. You would look at every ounce of heaven and you'd say, Jesus, you're beautiful.
All right, welcome back to Blurry Creatures. We got Gabe Poirot in the house. He's got a book coming out in April, 18 Days in Heaven. Hopefully this is out when this airs, and we're going to try to make that happen. Welcome to Blurry Creatures podcast from the great state of Texas. We have a lot of Blurry fans down in Texas. There seems to be Blurry headquarters down there, a lot of people. And
it's like our satellite HQ.
Yeah.
It's the redeemed state of America.
Yeah,
so.
The South loves the Blurry stuff. Well, welcome to the podcast. This book is, I'm sure we're going to get into it. And with our listeners, you can go 100 miles an hour, 18 Days in Heaven. And you're going to tell us all about the first heaven, second heaven, third heaven. Give us a little bit of an insight into all the Blurry questions we have over the years. Obviously, we've been going on 6 years as a podcast, and we've covered a lot of these topics, but you were there.
Yeah.
You've been around there. We ask everybody, though, on the top of the hour, just to kind of make the show fun. What are your thoughts on Bigfoot? And then you can get into your story.
Yeah, let's hear your story after that.
Well, the reason why I laugh is because I think people have been so transfixed on one figure specifically, which is a joke to me because especially after I died, left my body, and passed through the second and on to the third heaven, I saw way more than just like one Bigfoot creature, like way more than just one creature.
Yeah.
And way more influential than even just one story. So yeah, I don't discount at all that there is at least a Bigfoot out there. I already know there's many. So
so they're hanging out in the second heaven, though.
No, they definitely manifest in the first a lot more than people realize.
Okay.
So it's not like impossible to find.
But different than like a Yeti and a Sasquatch, and we're talking about.
You're talking about typology of Bigfoot here.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to put different names and labels on it, I'm not the expert on the names, but I will just tell you, they can play with you as well because they know familiar personalities, and so they're going to play with names. Like there'll be one that plays multiple at the same time, right? And so I won't be boxed in when I describe things sometimes.
Sure.
And people get annoyed by that because they're like,
fine.
just tell me. But I'm like, no, you don't understand. They don't. Yeah. There's almost too many details that they want you to know. So that's a whole nother.
How does an NDE help you understand the phenomenon of Sasquatch? You wouldn't think.
Sure, yeah. How are they two related?
Think that you would see that kind of stuff.
That's what you would think, right?
Yeah.
Until you're like myself on October 25th, 2021. And when I did flip off my electric skateboard, my skull was cracked in half on the pavement. And I died. I was medically dead. My friend held my rigid body in his arms. And you know this, when a body dies, it goes blue and planks. It literally postures.
Mortis, yeah.
Yes, it postures itself. That was me. What's wild is I was looking at me, right?
Yeah.
But what I was looking at wasn't me because I was outside of that.
Yeah.
That was just my body. So I quickly understood the truth of who I am as a spirit, myself, and then the reality of the spiritual realm. So first heaven is the blue skies. It's the air over Nashville right now, right? But the second heaven is the next dimension up, but it's behind. I also say up and behind. So I saw the second heaven immediately.
And that's where you saw the creatures.
Yeah. So it was definitely peripheral, but man, I'll tell you, it was way more extensive than people realized. And it was actually like civil war. Like you think things are intense down on the earth. The second heaven is a very intense place. It's a continuation of the Civil War that began actually before we were put on the earth.
So are there other heavenly creatures fighting against this Civil War, or is it just angels, or?
Yeah, it's I call it the light angels, the ones who emanate from the light himself, the Father. Then there's the fallen angels as well, but then there's the interbreeds, there's the hybrids, there's the watchers, there's many different ones, but they are on two sides. There is no gray area, like you're either light or dark, but you manifest yourself in different ways, and a lot of the dark creatures manifest themselves as light creatures. So again, it is kind of complex.
It sounds complex. I mean, so you're traveling, from our understanding, from first heaven to the third heaven.
Correct.
Going through the second heaven based on our NDE interviews. It's kind of what we've heard. Obviously, we've never had that experience. So
walk us through the story then, like chronologically, Gabe, because like I said, you crash your electric skateboard, you crack your skull on the ground, and then so for you, how do things begin to play out? So how does that? How does that go?
I have had an out of body experience, so I understand that.
Yeah,
I had a concussion, and I had it for like a couple hours.
Sure,
but that's it. And then I don't remember coming back into my body, but I definitely remember being out of it. So I can relate to that. But that's
and then you were just like in your body again.
Yeah. It's weird.
So it's really weird. Yeah. So when it happened, my body was, posture in my friend's arms. And so again, like it's just a normal day. It's a sunny 70-degree day in Texas. We're hooking around the curve of a road near a lake that we would ride close to. And there's just this little light bump in the middle of the road. And I hit it, flipped off, and just landed right on my head. Skull cracked in half, my lung filled with blood and vomit. So I stopped breathing right then and there. Blood was gushing out of my ears. The pressure was so strong. My friend held up my body, called an ambulance. They did slightly get me resuscitated. But then I went into the coma, even unconscious coma. So it truly was. I knew that I briefly medically died, then was in the coma, but I knew that for 18 days on the earth, I wasn't in my body. And so then I was in that coma for the next 18 days. They got me to JPS hospital. They wheeled me away, and I was there in one of the most intensive care units. And they even were talking about me in past tense, saying to my parents from Virginia, they called them in and they said, "Did he write a last will?"
Are you seeing all this?
I didn't see myself in the hospital. I only saw myself in my friend's arms because it was soon thereafter that this light suctioned me up. And then I went on to go through the second heaven, which we can talk more about, and then on to the third heaven. So that's the timeline. And the photo that you guys are seeing right now is the photo that friends of mine took of my practically lifeless body there in the hospital. I wasn't getting enough oxygen. And actually, when that photo was taken, they were even talking about opening up my throat to do a trach on me, which would have taken out my voice.
Yeah.
And they were really, because I wasn't getting enough oxygen. And so my brain was literally just collapsing before their eyes. And you can play the next photo. The MRI that's my skull broken right there. And I see, I just love to show people all the evidence. Like, this isn't just some fairy tale. This really happened to me. So October 28th, 2021, you can see just the brain is not supposed to look like that. You can see actually the back of my skull there. You can see all the fractures. Again, it looks like mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
And my head had also flattened, right? And so that was the status of my body at the time. Then you can play the next slide as well. That shows the back of the skull and what had happened there. Yeah, so pretty much the worst part of the body to get injured as well. Brains don't heal like other parts of the body. In fact, most patients like myself, if they do survive, they come back barely a mental vegetable at best. So again, it truly was a dire situation on the earth. But for me, actually, when I left my body, I didn't experience any grief. I didn't experience any pain. My body had died, but I didn't die. I was alive, like alive.
So when this light suctions you up, what do you start to see? Are you going up through the sky? Is your body getting smaller and smaller? Like you're just sort of like if you were on an airplane or a rocket ship or something like that, or how?
Yeah, but it's not just an airplane, because it's a dimension that is deeper than visible or visible or auditory. Like it's the difference between 2D versus 3D, but this is like 4D times 10. It was higher. It's like this light that was suctioning me higher, but it was behind everything, and it was more fundamental. It's challenging to put it into English, but I did see in my peripheral great darkness that was actually manipulating people to believe that it was them that that are like living their life on the earth and making the decisions they're making, but like it was never them ever. Like they have been influenced and possessed and oppressed by these fallen angels way more than they realize. I'm talking leaders of nations. I'm talking media influencers, like so many places in spheres of influence where I saw it like a puppet masters, and the fallen angels actually eat off of the authority that is given to them by the free will moral agents, me and you, human beings. The fallen angels feast on the words of free will moral agents. Like it's like a buffet.
What kind of words?
So when I say words, I don't just mean things that people audibly just put out. I mean like words that are specifically connected to the heart. The heart is a very big matter. The heart is what separates a man. And it is the reason why the heart is so connected to the blood is because it's our DNA. Like our blood is what sets us apart. Our blood is what makes us special. And so the heart is the very foundation of the blood. And so when we do make decisions with our heart and we speak words with our heart, specifically unforgiveness, man, when you hold unforgiveness against someone, literally it's like a bowl of food to these demonic spirits, and they feast on it, man. And they actually will hook someone with unforgiveness, and then they'll continue the same thing that happened to that person. They'll repeat it over and over and over to them. And that's why you get certain dreams. People are dreaming with certain spirits, and people have a lot of experiences that they like can never leave. And it's because there's a hook in their bank. I call it the spiritual bank that I witnessed.
Every morning, I wake up feeling refreshed, head into the studio, and get blurry. And I do that on my favorite mattress, the Sedona model from Brooklyn Bedding. What you don't want to be mysterious is your mattress. And I love this thing.
Yeah, I got the Sedona as well, Nate, and it's an amazing mattress. It's just the right amount of support and comfort. I'm a hot sleeper. They have something called Glaciotex covers, copper-infused foams, and temperature-regulating materials to help you keep cool and comfortable all night long.
Brooklyn Bedding is designed and assembles every mattress in Arizona. No middlemen, no gimmicks, just top-tier quality, honest pricing, and a real American craftsmanship for a better night's sleep. And they also understand that sleep isn't one fit all, so they have different types of mattresses for everybody. You know, the big guys, we got a mattress for you.
It shouldn't be a mystery, and sleep is such a foundational part of our lives. We really should enjoy what we sleep on. And majority of that is what type of mattress are you sleeping on?
That's right.
Brooklyn Bedding is one of the few mattress brands endorsed by the American Chiropractic Association for spinal alignment and back health. You know, my dad's a chiro, so you know how I feel about that endorsement. That's huge. Brooklyn Bedding has been awarded the best mattress by CNET and best hybrid mattress by Wirecutter, and they also offer a 120-night comfort trial. You're going to love your Brooklyn Bedding mattress, or you can return or swap it hassle-free.
Go to brooklynbedding.com and use our promo code BLURRY at checkout to get 30% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else, but just for Blurry listeners. So that's brooklynbedding.com and promo code BLURRY for 30% off site-wide. Support our show and let them know we sent you after checkout. brooklynbedding.com, promo code BLURRY.
It's really interesting what you're saying, because this is a theme we've heard. We've had exorcists on the show and deliverance ministers talking about really that what you just said is like, well, people will be oppressed, sometimes possessed. And yes, well, what are the footholds here? And of course there's sin, but they said the biggest one people don't realize is unforgiveness. When you harbor that, it becomes an open door, or what the Bible says a foothold. It gives access, right? But when you're saying you're seeing this, and what do these things look like? What do the fallen angels look like? What does the good guys look like? Chart. Yeah.
Can I tell you what was so fascinating about it? They were twofold at the same exact time. There would be this, like, you knew they were monsters and like grotesquely ugly, like just, how do I even describe it? Like almost like a monkey on steroids, yet very jagged, it's challenging to describe, but also there was actually a horrendous beauty to them, like a false light beauty to them. Like there were many that you didn't realize they were monsters. Like you look at them and you're like, wow, they're beautiful. Oh no, that's a monster. Like there's this dichotomy where it doesn't look or feel like they're monsters, but they are.
Interesting.
Are they human-like? Are they?
I would say they manifest a lot of times, and they can switch personalities to become so familiar with people that they do appear human-like, but inherently they aren't human.
Right.
So when you describe kind of like going through the second heaven, it kind of reminds me of Jesus' baptism when it opens up and you can, obviously he says, "My son," you know, and the spirit of the dove comes out, and it just feels like it's right there. It doesn't feel like it's like you can see through the galaxies far away.
Yeah, no, it's not far at all.
Interesting.
In fact, it's closer than actually what you feel and see. What you feel and see is only a fruit of actually what is foundational, what is so much deeper than just this earth. All of creation is only a fruit of the overflow of originally what love had bursted forth and made this entire universe. And then actually, well, I mean, okay, I'm going to get into it.
Yeah,
because I need to. I went on to the third heaven where Jesus showed me the truth of time, but I wasn't limited by the earth's clock anymore.
Yeah.
And he showed me time as a cloth. It was the past, the present, and the future, and it was all wrapped up. And he was not limited by time, but time was limited by him. But part of the things he showed me, which I'll get into more later, but part of the things he went on to show me was we were not the only ones that were ever like on this earth or in this universe. In fact, there was a massive difference between when we were put on the earth versus actually what was before us.
Yeah. So we just did an episode on that 2 episodes ago, gap theory.
Wow.
And we go into
not a
that.
Theory. Yeah, not a theory.
Okay, so explain it to us.
I laugh when you say theory because I saw it. So
well, I mean, for us normies out there, for us people who haven't been all over got taken by the hand of Jesus to go see the scroll of time, we're just limited to our understanding. I mean, I don't, we talk about dimensions all the time, but
sure,
it doesn't make any more sense every time we talk about it. I'm like, I don't get it.
Well, Gabe, when you end up in the second heaven, like we talked to John Burke, who actually, as I can see your book here, John wrote, an endorsement, and John's been on the show twice, and he talks about like this tunnel of protection, like where when people travel from here, first heaven, as far as Hebrew cosmology is taking, and then the second heaven, of course, is like the spiritual realm, and third heaven is where.
Yeah, did you have the tunnel experience?
I don't describe it as a tunnel. I describe it as a magnet because it truly suctioned me up. I guess it was like a tunnel.
Okay.
But so as I'm being suctioned up through this second heaven, I'm just like, wow, that things make sense now.
You can see out of it.
Yes, and peripherally,
like a glass elevator, like a Wonka elevator taking you.
To the third heaven.
That's kind of seeing like thousands of creatures, or
it's not that. It's like millions.
Really?
Okay, I'm not going to try to put an exact number on them because maybe I saw just like the millions of their manifestations, and that's the other thing. Like familiar spirits can work on 2 people at the same time, and they can switch the same spirit they work on one. They'll switch that personality and put it on the other too. So, and that's what I talk about with the links.
Okay, so you're going up.
Yeah.
And then you get there and Jesus says, let's go on a little field trip through time.
What's Jesus like? I mean, what's Jesus like before you get into what he said? What is that like to encounter Christ?
So people always talk about, and they ask me, what was heaven like? And they say, what about the gold streets and the mansions and all these things? And I look them in their eyes and I say, have you not understood the entire point? Because for me, when I was brought there, I found that on my left and on my right, on the up and in the down, in the golden streets and in the mansions and in the mountains and the trees, it wasn't about the things. They spoke of him. They sung a song of him. They had a hymn to themselves. You would look at the flowers and you would say, wow, Jesus, you're beautiful. You would look at the trees and you'd say, Jesus, you're beautiful. You would look at every ounce of heaven and you'd say, Jesus, you're beautiful, because he is there. There's no escape.
Wow. How's a flower there different than flower here?
Oh, so much so that even the word flower, like your awareness or anyone's awareness of what a flower is almost a joke to how real a flower is in heaven. Like you don't even know what a real flower is. I describe it like this. I guess when TV first came out, I love what's behind you right there? Is that like the first TV or something like that?
Not the first.
Not even close.
From the 80s.
Yeah. Like the quality of that though.
Right.
Like, you look at that, and when people first had that thing behind you, they loved it.
It was amazing.
Like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. Right. But now compared to I got 4K on my little phone right here. Better than that. And it's like the quality of this compared to that. But I describe that as a little picture of earth to heaven. Like we think we have a quality of definition here. You have no clue. Like There's the green on earth, and then there's the green in heaven. Like colors, like, oh.
Huh. But obviously you meet Jesus himself, but
Yeah.
then but it's echoing throughout heaven.
I mean, and do you travel to him, or does he meet you there, or how does that whole thing work when you?
It was both, but it definitely was me being brought into what I call the center of the city. But this city wasn't, again, just like just an urban location. This city was all in all, and yet it all just spoke of his glory. So I'm brought to the center of the city, and it's wild because I'm obviously anticipating two things at the same time. First of all, how does the King of Kings and Lord of Lords have time for me? And I don't just mean like have a little bit of time. It was literally as if he'd waited his entire life just to meet with me.
Wow.
I was his everything.
Huh.
Wow.
He's simultaneously doing that with everyone that gets there?
Not just everyone that gets there.
Everyone is there already.
Everyone he ever created. He's waiting. Wow. Now, I'm not saying everyone goes to heaven. Don't mishear me. But everyone is on his heart. All in one. And that's the thing that people struggle with, because we don't have that ability here on this earth to look at one person at the exact same time as others, but he does.
What was your faith before you had the wreck?
So I had accepted the price he paid for me on the cross. I was born again. I knew a lot of things about him. I'd even been a Bible college graduate, all these things. Yeah. Right? You study theology and you study what heaven is like, and you study what, your picture, but then you meet him. Wow. So for me, a lot of religion burned off of me actually when I met him. Sure. Because he was the opposite of a lot of what I was taught. And so he was opposite of a lot of what I had witnessed, and even pictures of him. He's not like soft or even nice. He doesn't play around. He rolls up his sleeves, and he doesn't try to do what he says. He's already done what he said. He has a personality.
What's he look like?
What's that like? What's he
look like? Does he look like the pictures we see of Jesus?
No. No, I laugh. So yes, but like he's the king made human.
Yeah.
He's the king and the human at the same time. Yeah. See? Yeah. So there's a lot of multi things all in one is how I describe it. So he was my height, yet I know I describe him as about 5'10" to 6 foot. Yet I know for many others, he meets them eye to eye. And like, this is why I try to tell people, like, you cannot escape him. He sees you face to face.
We spend a lot of time on this podcast in Genesis, Luke, talking about the tree. And then there's stories of Abraham and Isaac. He's carrying wood up a mountain. Prophetic dreams that Joseph interpreted about the tree and the cupbearer and the baker, all the way to Jesus on the cross. And the cool thing about Blurry Creatures is it puts all those things in perspective. And the cross itself is one of the most important moments in history. And you've probably never heard it like this before, but Tim Tebow has a new book that talks about something, the brutalness of the wood and the tree itself. If it could tell its story, what would it say?
Yeah, and that's the idea behind this book, If the Tree Could Speak. And Tim Tebow put together this amazing narrative, the story of Jesus' crucifixion as we celebrate the resurrection. And it's from the viewpoint, the perspective of the cross itself, which is the closest witness to the events of that day. And it's really powerful. It's well written, beautifully illustrated. Yeah. And it really puts a new spin on a story that many of us have heard, 1,000 times. Not that it needs any new marketing, if you will, but it is an amazing way to look at the most important moment in history.
Yeah. And I read it to my boys and they enjoyed it. And you can read it to your kids too this season and kind of give them a different perspective and use the imagination of children to kind of see it from a different perspective. Step inside the story, hear the witness, and experience Easter like never before. Check out Tim Tebow's new book, If the Tree Could Speak, on Amazon. That's If the Tree Could Speak by Tim Tebow. Order your copy on Amazon today. How much do you know when you get to heaven versus how much he has to tell you about once you get there? Like, do you show up in heaven?
You're not going to show up in heaven telling him your opinion.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
what do you mean? Because
do you have some kind of prerequisite knowledge when you roll in? Like, oh, I know things that I didn't know that I knew, but I know now because I'm here. And then he has to kind of take you through and tell you other stuff.
Yeah, but honestly, standing there, it was as if I never knew anything, like ever at all. Wow. Like, it is a joke that I would even claim to know anything. Like, so actually, my first, what had happened at first was my face was down because I was struck with such a holiness, a reverence. This isn't a place you just walk up into and just, like this isn't just like a normal place. Heaven wasn't even just a place. Heaven was a person. Heaven can't be described as just a location. Heaven is a person.
So there's personality.
So I'm afraid. I'm greatly afraid because in this place, I have no right to be there. In my own works, I knew just the black and white truth of like my works. I knew I was not qualified to be there on my own accord. So I'm face down. I'm greatly afraid. And I'm like, you know what? The list of my wrongs is going to be pulled up and I'm done for. Dude, like I'm done for. Like I have no hope. But he picks up my face. He looks me in the eyes and he says, Gabriel, why are you concerned about that which is paid for? And he showed me the wounds in his, I say wrists, not like, I thought they would be like here. They were here. And they had a name, Gabriel. I did it just for you.
Wow.
Jeez, it's very personal.
Oh, very personal. So yeah, he showed me those wounds in his hands and the spear in his side. And every time, and the crown of thorns on his head, I saw the cross. And I saw how he did it all for me. And he actually looked at me as if I was so forgiven that I wasn't just forgiven for the present. It was as if I had never fallen. It was as if I had never sinned. Even though I certainly had made mistakes on the earth. I certainly had a list of wrongs. Yet it was like the Bible says, as far as east is from the west.
Are these experiences chronologically playing out, or are you kind of like seeing them, or how's the information getting to you?
It's a great question. And that's what's so intriguing about the time that I experienced. I was gone for 18 days in the coma on the earth, but for my time in heaven, it was like 3 minutes. But not even that. It just like time doesn't even pass. Honestly, there wasn't time. It truly was outside of time itself. And people struggle with that, right? Because we only know time on the earth. But I laugh because like that's such a limited view of life. Like there's a reason the Bible says a day is as, 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is a day. Like it's a very different clock.
But he's making you feel welcome.
Oh, it's not just like welcome. Like I'm not just acquaintance. At best, I could have been like a friend. I was family.
Are you asking questions?
I was his own. Yes, the very short questions like how, why.
Okay.
But I was in such awe, to be honest, that it was
he knows kind of where your brain is.
I didn't even have to ask. Also, people say, what language did he speak to you in? It was heart to heart. He's the only person that has ever spoke to the core of my heart. Without even uttering an audible word, he spoke to me.
Do you miss him?
Well, of course.
I mean, do you feel like it's hard to be away from him now?
Well, of course, but we can get into more of that.
No, so play this out. So you arrive, Jesus is there, you're on your face, he lifts you up, he shows you the wounds, and your name's written there. And then what plays out after that? What happens after that with Jesus?
Yeah. So he said, Gabriel, you are forgiven. And he showed me like he had always been thinking of me. And even there was a time, and he took me back on this clock. I say back, but like time was no longer linear, but it was always and forever. Like I was chosen before all of creation, during and after. I've always been his. I've always been his own. And so, but he did show me how, like before all of what we see now on the earth, there actually was the earth, there was the stars, there was Genesis 1:1, which is when God created everything. He created it all out of his own nature, out of love. Love was like he is love. He's not described by someone who even attempts to love. He is love. And when I saw him, that's what I realized. He didn't even think about loving me. He loved me because that's who he very was. It was a love that I could never escape or never lose.
So when do you start to like kind of go on your journey to understand how you got there?
So as he shows me his wounds and the spear in his side, and he shows me his nature, and then he shows me my nature in him. He shows me how I am made of his very nature as a seed that expands and grows, or like an egg. Finally, the baby in the egg just gets so big that it just pops out. His love before all of creation was expanding and expanding. But he said, you know what? I have creatures. I have this. I have everything. I don't need anything, but I want Gabriel. And so he thought of me. His love exploded and thought of me and made me. And I saw that. So looking into his eyes, I saw how he saw me. And it was exactly like with the same love that the Father, I never saw the Father, but with the same love that the Father saw Jesus, he saw me. I literally wanted to tell heaven, you got the wrong person. Something's wrong, because he's looking at me as if I'm himself, as if like I'm love himself. Love is looking at me.
Where are you standing in heaven when this is happening?
Before him.
In the throne, or?
Yeah, I say the center of the city.
Okay.
Yes, it is a throne room. However,
is there like traffic and things moving around?
I was so good question. I was actually so transfixed. I actually didn't even dare to like look away, because also angels don't want you to look at them. People always talk about like angels as if they just tell people like, don't be afraid. And they do, but also like, you don't understand, like all of heaven exists for his glory. And like, there's just such a holiness and like reverence that like, if you are even staring at an angel, like there's this feeling of like, oh my goodness, like they look at you, do not look at me, give glory to him. Like everything just points back to him. So I knew the angels were there. I knew the throne room was there, like massive traffic, massive things that were happening, a lot of people, but like it was just me and him.
What does that surrounding city scene look like? Feel like?
Doesn't just look and feel like. It is 7 senses times 1,000. It is senses that I never had on the earth. Senses that I never even thought were possible. To give you a little bit of a perspective though, the mountains would literally sing. The trees on top of the mountains would sing, and they would say, worthy is the Lamb. The leaves would blow back and forth, and they would say, worthy is the Lamb. And the rivers, I say oceans, rivers, waters of life would receive it. And as the waves would crash back and forth, worthy is the Lamb, worthy is the Lamb, worthy is the Lamb. The sand on the seashore would receive the waves and sing it back. Worthy is the Lamb, worthy is the Lamb, worthy is the Lamb. And there was a hymn to it.
Are you traveling to those locations, or are you just experiencing them?
Peripherally experiencing them.
So you're
and hearing them and smelling them and feeling them. And I wish I had words for all these senses
there's like a
that I was
city,
experiencing of them.
You're in it, and then there's mountains. Are they in the background, or you go to them, or are they?
Yeah, like they're in a specific place, but they're also like kind of everywhere. Like there's monuments, there's libraries, there's streets, there's mansions.
Libraries. What's in the libraries?
Portals.
Portals.
Yeah, there's portals. There's books. Books come alive. And actually those in heaven actually watch our life. They read the book of our life. And then as they read it, they like almost see his perspective on our life, and it's like beautiful.
It sounds like you had more than 18 days. You're going around. You're getting a full. But I guess time doesn't exist. You don't even know how long you're really there. Right?
So do you spend the entire time you're in heaven? Is it in front of Jesus, or does he take you places?
He takes me. So he took me on a timeline, and so I saw the timeline of before our current Earth. This universe existed outside of just time. That's why scientists cannot come up with a number for how old the universe is. They say it's 10 billion. They say it's 100 billion. They're not going to be able to, because they're trying to measure what can't be measured. And so it was actually, before all of this universe, there was truly nothing. There was truly nothing at all. And out of nothing, love burst and created the universe. It created stars and all these things. But then the fall happened. Lucifer fell, and mass chaos was upon the earth that God had never originally created. God doesn't create something and then chaos. And if anybody looks at Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1:2, they'll see a distinction. There's an issue with that scripture in Genesis 1:2, because why would God create something that was chaotic and broken and dark?
Right.
It's not the nature of God, biblically speaking, right? So what had happened? Well, there is actually a gap in between that 1 and 2 that, when I even say, I don't even mean gap there. What had happened was the fall had happened, chaos. But during that time, actually, that was when the dinosaurs were on the earth. That was when there was a lot of creatures. There was a lot of beings, and they were not like cannibalistic. Like they were cool creatures. Cool is a good word for it, I guess. They're
a
truly
happy little squirrel, you know.
You can say that. But then chaos and the fall had happened, and Lucifer was filled with pride, and he wanted to be his own God. And then the fall happened
on earth, or is he in?
Hillel was on the sapphire floor, and he was the ministering worshiper, and I believe the Bible talks about this in Ezekiel 36.
The King of Tyre.
Yeah. And He's the chief musician, and he became so close to God that he said, why don't I just be God myself? But the reason he fell is because he operated outside of love. It all became about him. And then he fell. And then when he fell is when chaos hit, and such chaos that there truly was a massive, I call it like a meteor explosion, where just dust just filled the entire earth, and there truly was nothing. It was void, dark, and it was just like a blank slate almost because of such chaos. And that is when Genesis 1:2 occurs.
How long is that in Earth years, you think?
Again, because that was outside of time. Time only entered when Adam and Eve fell. When Adam and Eve ate that fruit of the tree, that's when time started.
You've heard it here. Strange lights in the sky, all the blurry things. And then there's that reoccurring charge in your bank account for $11.99 that's been there so long, it feels generational. What do? You stare at it, you question it, you wonder if you've agreed to it unknowingly and it's attached to your finances.
Well, we turn to Rocket Money.
That's right.
Which is an amazing personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. There's an incredible dashboard. And I love Rocket Money. Since we've had them as a partner and as a sponsor of Blurry Creatures, it's been an amazing experience to not only see where all your spending goes, but also alert you to what you're spending on subscription.
You got to find those old streaming platforms, forgotten free trials, apps that you downloaded once and you forgot about them for a specific reason. You never even opened it. It's like your debit card wandered off into the wilderness and just started attaching to things and spending. Mm-hmm. Rocket Money helps you find those hidden charges and brings them into light. And you can see your subscriptions all in one place, figure out what's draining your bank account, and cancel those unwanted subscriptions with push of a button.
In fact, this last week, they actually helped lower my internet bill. Like I got a prompt that said, "Hey, you're overpaying for your internet bill.
I need to do it.
We'll help you figure it out." And they did. They have helped other people like us save over $880 million in canceled subscriptions. They automatically categorize transactions across accounts so you can see your spending. Helps you set budgets and goals. You get personalized insights, regular reports.
That's right. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster.
Try for the huge price of $0 at rocketmoney.com/blurry. That's rocketmoney.com/blurry. rocketmoney.com/blurry. Is he just showing you all this? Did you ask for this, or did he just show you like, "Hey, let me show you how this all began"? And you or how does this sort of play out, like in understanding or seeing this?
Well, it's so interesting because it was like the longer I stared into his eyes, the more just as an onion, like you peel out back the onion and you see the top of the onion, and then it gets peeled back, and then you see more and more and more. That's kind of how it unfolded. And it's actually wild because I've had friends of mine who I actually trying to even remember and talk about these things is actually a challenge, because putting it back into English is like almost impossible.
Yeah.
But it is actually crazy because I'll talk with friends of mine who had a very similar experience, and we'll tell each other different parts of what we saw, and it's like the same exact thing.
Really?
And so, like, for example, I was talking with my friend. Yeah, it confirms everything. Like, I was talking with my friend Robert Marshall, who I give credit to. He has a great testimony. Y'all should check him out as well. But him and I were talking about how humans were created. Like, God took the very dust, so the dust of the chaos, of all the brokenness, of all the despair, God took that dust and then took his finger and he said, you know what? I'm not going to just make another creature. I'm not just going to make a servant that just obeys my commands. I'm going to make someone that I don't just talk to. I'm going to make someone that I can talk with. I'm going to make my own family. And it was almost kind of like a smear against Lucifer. He took the very dust and he said, you know what? I'm going to make this in my own essence, in my own image. And he thought of you, he thought of me, and he showed me this. He thought of Gabriel, and he created Gabriel, and he breathed upon dust, and humanity was made. And Adam was made. We were taken of the very rib of Christ himself. Everything God does on the earth is only a small picture of actually what is in heaven. So when God took Eve out of Adam, he was actually giving us a picture of how we are taken from his very lung. Like, we are a part of him. We are the offspring of love. We're a crystal light of love. That's why if you ever operate your life outside of love, you feel conviction. You feel a distinction, don't you? Like you feel like you're like, this doesn't even feel like myself anymore. Why am I doing this? Why am I acting this way? It's because you weren't created to do anything outside of love.
So we know, we can envision of how humans were created. How were angels created? What are they? What's kind of the biological understanding of those beings?
Sure. Well, when people use the word angels, there's actually, I like to clarify it further word, because it's a very generic word. Like there's the seraphim, there's the watchers, there's just so many terms and labels. So it's challenging to answer that question. I wasn't shown intimate details of specifically other creatures other than humanity. Mm-hmm. So I'm just truthful with you. I don't want to go beyond what I did see. So, but I will tell you that I saw the distinction between humanity versus everything else.
What is left on the earth?
Nothing, right?
Like, is it all leveled?
It literally, we were created out of nothing. Like there was just, it was the dust that there, it was like I don't want to even say a restart, but it truly was nothing that we were created out of, except for just like the dust of the massive explosion of what had happened, the massive meteor that had come and just taken everything out. And then God just took the dust and he licked the dust off his finger and he said, you know what? I want to make Adam. I want to make someone just like me in my own essence of love.
Are you seeing this through his eyes? You're seeing this in his eyes as you're talking to him?
I'm seeing it through his eyes, but I'm also like living in the moment. Like I'm there. Like, but it was so fascinating. I didn't see Adam. I saw myself.
Weird.
As the one he created out of dust.
It's kind of, I remember a couple times I went on tour in another country. You have like your person that takes you around and shows you everything, right? It seems like Jesus is kind of like, welcome to heaven. All right, we're going to take you on a tour. And it seems like everyone comes in there a little bit with 1,000 questions, obviously.
Yeah.
And he takes the time for everyone who shows up, and he takes you on this trip.
He doesn't just take the time he's been waiting for them his entire life, his entire existence. He's been waiting. Like I just can't begin to describe to you the depth of his nature. He didn't consider loving me. He loved me because that's who he was.
Why do you think Satan rejected that?
He was filled with jealousy and pride. In fact, he looked at humanity, and that's why the Bible says, angels say, "Who is man that you are made in, that they are made in likeness of you?"
Yeah,
that's not just talking about light angels. That's talking about the demonic too. They don't understand how God could make such a creature and then love them so unconditionally and give himself to them. So, but he was filled with pride and it was all about himself, and he operated outside of love. He operated outside of love.
What is that likeness?
When you say likeness, that we were made in God.
Yeah.
It doesn't just mean like, it doesn't just, image is not a word for a visible television. The word image means essence, spirit, breath, identity, the very core of who we are. And anyone who really knows themselves can understand they're not limited to just their suit. I call our bodies a suit because that's seriously all it is. Like, and as someone who left my body, I saw that reality. And our bodies just give us authority on the earth. They're just agents or vehicles on the earth. That's literally all they are. But who we truly are is a spirit of the Spirit, God himself. So image is another word I use for image is breath or essence.
Christians have a hard time with ideas like jealousy existing in heaven. How does that happen?
Yeah. That's a valid question, but actually it doesn't exist in heaven because it was cast out.
Yeah.
And that's why it was cast out, is because it doesn't exist in heaven. So like there's no tolerance of any ounce of pride. And that's why Lucifer fell. People think Lucifer was like filled 1,000% with pride. It only took 1% and he was out. He was out quick.
Well, it's a hard thing.
Like God didn't tolerate him to continue just being filled with pride and then one day kick him out. Like God doesn't tolerate things like.
Wow. So visually, I'm trying to figure out where's he when the earth is wiped and there's dust. Where's he at that in that time, in that moment? Is he trapped here?
So that specifically, I didn't know. I just knew that it was related to his fall. And by the time of the garden and by the time Adam and Eve, he came down more. He was already down after his fall, but specifically after Adam and Eve were put on the earth is when he came specifically to the garden, because he saw Adam and Eve and he said, "Oh my goodness," because he also knew how we were created as, again, God's own family, his own essence.
Yeah, because it makes a lot of sense that he shows up already right at the beginning of we think is the beginning.
Yeah. Also, people that don't, or they're saying like, "Man, Gabe, you're just saying things that are unbiblical." Well, I would respond and say, "Well, you tell me, where did Satan fall? Because if you don't hear what I'm telling you about this big difference, you don't know even how Satan fell or how Satan got there."
Yeah. He's ready to sabotage right from the beginning.
Right from the beginning. And that doesn't make sense.
Doesn't.
There's cause and effect. Like, let's not be stupid Christians, right? Like, if something is an effect, there's a cause, right? So if Satan is there and he's already fallen, obviously something happened.
Yeah.
There's the prologue.
Does that get
exactly?
Is that somewhere else, or is that just not important to the story? How come we don't have any record of that?
So, well, we do have.
It's in the library in heaven.
No, I mean, there's actually other scriptures in Psalms and Isaiah. They reference this chaos. So it's not only like the difference between Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1:2, but I will also say we're given a little bit of information now, because actually it's a chance to be faithful with what we do have. And so those who can be trusted with little will be trusted with more. In America especially, we think we're entitled to it all. And there's nothing wrong with, it's good, we want to know more, right? That's a good thing.
Yeah.
However, I think a lot of times people just discount possibilities because they don't know it all, instead of understanding what they do know. And so what my point is, with what we do have in Scripture, it does point to these things that we can explore. And so
do you get to just walk through like the entire timeline? Do you see Moses, and do you get to?
I did actually see Moses specifically. I don't have memory of everything. What?
Does he have an epic beard?
Man, Moses is like not a guy you play around with. Like,
of course. Doesn't sound like anybody is.
I don't even just describe him as like he's not like a lumberjack, but he's like a Israeli lumberjack, like Middle Eastern lumberjack. Like
he's a salty old.
He's a special character.
But so did you walk through the entirety of time with Christ then? Is that what you're...
Yeah, but like it only was like, it took like 5 seconds, yet it was forever. Like it was so fascinating because it was just, and I only have memory of certain moments. Like I didn't like talk with Moses. I wasn't like face to face with him. I saw him peripherally. I saw him at the burning bush. People don't understand this. He did not just encounter a burning bush. He encountered Christ. Christ was that burning bush. Christ is in every sentence of every chapter of the Bible. There's no escape of him.
Yeah, exactly. What don't we understand about Eden and that kind of the restart of the story as Christians today?
Specifically the tree of life. It was there actually as a safeguard, because the only difference, God made us such in his image, such in his likeness, that actually he knew that our greatest strength would be our greatest weakness. And he knew that we would say to ourselves, why don't we just do this on our own? Let's be our own gods. Let's figure this out on our own. So he had the tree of life as the safety net against our own strength. And that tree of life was where he would eat, but yet we could watch him eat. Adam and Eve were supposed to watch God eat that tree, not eat it themselves. It was their tithe to God. It was their trust. It was their chance to say, we trust you. You're our Father. You're our God. We trust you. And that's why what was so wicked in the garden is when Eve just said, you know what? She listened to the lie. And really it was Adam who tolerated. I know if Adam came and repented right away and didn't hide, there would have never been the fall. But it was because Adam tolerated.
What's there 2 trees? What's the
tree of good and evil,
knowledge
tree of life,
and life?
Tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
I see it more as one, like the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Okay.
And it's the fruit of that tree. I didn't necessarily see 2 different trees.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are multiple trees in the garden. So, don't quote me on that.
Is the city in Eden?
So
city of God?
So the city is specifically, the city that I was in was different than Eden.
Yeah.
Eden was the third heaven manifested on the first heaven.
Right.
But it wasn't the same.
Was it like on a mountain?
I wouldn't necessarily describe it as a mountain, but I would describe it as the third heaven coming down, and it was a small preview of the third heaven for sure.
It's kind of like a slice of heaven here.
Yeah.
And then when we do fall, the two angels are guarding the entrance. I think a lot of us just read Eden as it never happened that way. It didn't exist. That was just the only way that humans, it's like a creation story, but it's a myth. It's not how we actually came to be. And I don't see it that way after doing the show, obviously.
Yeah.
My mind can understand almost like a portal of some kind. Like here are the angels protecting the doorway to this place.
Yeah. It definitely, the garden did happen. It's not just like a fairy tale.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, they are, people keep looking for the place on the earth, just they're not going to find it. The reason is because it's not limited to flesh and blood. It's in the second heaven. The more they try to chase after it in the first,
Indiana's not going to find it.
Although, I mean, there are things splitting open right now though. So like, I wouldn't be shocked if they did, but like, I'm explaining why they haven't found it yet.
Is that like a Tower of Babel thing? That's what we're trying to do? Something like that?
What do you mean?
Like gain access to that second heaven, like open a portal or something. Because it sounds like in that story, humans were building this tower.
Yeah, they were.
To do something that was more than an archaeological feat. It
wasn't just humans. They were actually hijacked with interpersonalities and the hybrid watchers, and they installed technology and thoughts to them and ways that were beyond humanity. And they're doing the same thing now in 2026, but it's another story.
So as you run through the timeline, how many stops do you make? Do you absorb like sort of all of history, or do you just like make little like side doors? Like I went to the burning bush. Maybe I get to see David and Goliath. Let's hit some highlights.
Yeah. I have a memory. It's pretty wild. I'm thankful I was able to remember some of it.
Yeah.
And I wrote down some of my memories, specifically with Moses and Elijah. I saw how Moses told God, I don't stand a chance. I have a speech impediment. I don't stand a chance. And God showed me how all of Moses's failures, they collapsed because God's word to Moses was, I am. And in the I am was wrapped in everything Moses needed, because as I am was, Moses was. See, God was explaining to him. Jesus was explaining, Moses, you are because I am. Yeah. And then it was then when he spoke the word I am that Moses was able to literally lead a nation out of one of the darkest pits of slavery. Yeah. It was because Moses discovered his identity in the I am. It was a picture of the cross.
So there's obviously multiple rebellions in the Old Testament, right? We got at least 3 that we've talked about on our show. You have Eden, Tower of Babel, Genesis 6. How do angels then join in on this rebellion? Like, when do they rebel? How did that go down?
There's different stages, I would describe it as. So
can they still rebel?
You're saying could more rebel?
Right now, yeah.
I would say there's definitely a potential for future creatures to rebel.
Crazy.
We keep trying to limit everything to our understanding of time and our Earth clock.
Yeah,
it's a joke. Like
because we talk a lot about the giants here, right? So like, how do the giants come about? And it's trying to understand. Like we've found, you run into a lot of mental roadblocks trying to say angels and humans had these offspring, and it's like, and it connects with a chunk of the church, but definitely not the majority of the church. So
yeah, and
trying to figure that out.
Well, can I tell you why?
Yes,
the Jesus I encountered. People are going to get offended about this, but I don't really care. The Jesus I encountered was the opposite of religion. He was real. And while heaven is structural, heaven is organizational. So don't get me discounted. This isn't like a freelance, whatever you think, whatever you want type thing. Right. But it's not limited by the structure. The structure emanates from his being. And he's not about an organization. He's about family. Yeah. His purpose is family. So I encountered a heaven of not a religion, but of family. And he was the opposite of most churches. And honestly, like most figures of most denominations and structures have been set up. Actually, Satan couldn't defeat the church, so he became the church. And you'd be shocked. Like, I could tell you things about, and actually since coming back, the Lord will reveal things to me about places and things, and it's like, and I'll just see it on them and tell them, and they're like, how do you know that? Like, it's some really dark stuff. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I know things about different ministries and like mega churches, mega TV places, and I'm telling you, man, it's like dark. And I don't know it because of intel. Like, I know it because I just will look at them, and I'll just know.
Yeah.
Because since coming back, I
You got a sixth sense now.
yeah, and it's like, yeah, it's not always a thing that makes you feel good too. Like, you feel things on people, man.
So you meet Elijah?
Yeah.
So specifically,
Well, I asked about the giants first. We got to get there.
Yeah. So
how do angels rebel? And
we're asking a lot of questions.
Dude, we're just like,
I'm trying to work my way through the story because eventually we get you back, Gabe, back here. So,
Hey, listen.
so I want to, go ahead.
Giants.
Yeah. Well, just angels rebelling, because obviously Satan rebels. We kind of got there.
Yes.
And then start over with humanity.
And then we're at Genesis 6 after the fall.
Yes.
So what had happened was those were the Watchers who actually wanted to invert, because again, they watched how humans were made in the image of Yahweh. And they said, you know what? We want to be them. And they interbred with the wives of that age. And you people ask, how were they able to do that? Well, they were given a place by the humans at that time as well. They were given a spot, and giants of renown, and almost every actually literature and historical document talk about these hybrid creatures.
Almost all civilizations have giant
and it's
mythos.
like serious. Yeah. So. And of course, we know the flood happened soon thereafter, but of course, David and Goliath itself goes to show how the giants were thereafter.
So the timeline is Satan rebels.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then we restart.
Yeah.
And then
we're put on the earth.
Angels get tempted by human beings and they rebel.
Not just the angels, though, because remember, angels is a broad word.
Watchers rebel. Yeah. I mean, I should know that by now, but I know what you're saying, and I'm saying it in my head, but I'm not saying it out loud. Watchers rebel.
Yeah.
Where are they what are they?
So and I think the first 36 chapters in Enoch talk about it. And I like the first 36 chapters in Enoch.
Yeah.
The rest gets a little bit
That's
beyond,
what we said. So.
But the first 36, solid.
Yeah.
Solid. With that being said,
let's go. Just because we talk about it a lot. So
no,
people think we're deceived because we talk about it. I'm like,
no.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus kind of used the book of Enoch, but regardless.
We've talked about that too.
We don't
so what is a watcher?
So those specifically, I didn't see their details of like their start. I saw more of the details when I was passing through the second heaven of the Nephilim that still are on this earth, that are still, because that's the term I use for them now, right? They became the Nephilim when they interbred. So they were the Watchers, but then they became the Nephilim. And then they still are here. Why do you think the pigs went into the ocean? You ever wondered that?
We've talked about that.
A little bit.
Well, the flood, they had authority over that land before the flood. Just because now there's water doesn't mean they quit on their authority. They still contained that same authority over that land. It just happened to have water over it, so they went into the ocean. Regardless, though, but the Nephilim are not only still spiritually influencing those, they are still on the earth. And I got reached out to by those who know of certain agencies, and they told me you need to be quiet because we have bodies in certain centers and
Nephilim bodies.
Oh yeah. Like it's like so. And they
heard
reverse
that.
engineer. Yeah, it's like a very real thing. So, and they reverse engineer things, and then they know how to play with the psychology of humanity, right? Like they know how to get in people's heads.
So the Watchers were like obviously looking over humanity, but there was still a separation. Then they made a pact to leave.
Yeah.
So that is pretty accurate in what you saw.
Yeah.
The recount.
Yeah.
Are they male? I mean, how do they have? I mean, that's what we've.
What's wild? They'll become male when they're trying to influence a woman. They can make a woman feel like a man. Like they could work things, man. Like, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like,
it's like,
and see, now you can understand why some things are happening in 2026, right? Like things make sense now because things don't logically make sense right now, but things make sense when you see the truth. So, but yeah, they can become familiar with a person, and then that person will so feel and see that spirit that they become that spirit, and then their identity is taken. And then they unfortunately are thinking all these things, you know. It's like, that's not that person, like that's a spirit.
So this is all kind of happening. You're getting a fast crash course in history, biblical history. What stands out to you? What are the things that you were like, I did not see it that way at all? Maybe everything?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
did anything feel like, oh, that's kind of what I thought on Earth, but I got that part right. But
you know, every ounce of, we think people invent their evil or invent their abuse or invent, you know, whatever like they're going to do, but like it all stems from hurting souls hurt souls. And it's like the hooks that I witnessed, things made sense all of a sudden. Like it made sense why the earth was as wicked as it is, because it's all just chains that reverberate back and forth and back and forth. And it continues to get worse and worse and worse. And it will continue to get worse until he comes back and redeems it all.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like the final redemption. Like there's like the restart of the earth, and then there's the Adam and Eve's fall, and then there's Christ on the cross, and he redeems us. But then like when he comes back next, he's not going to be a nice lamb. Like he's coming back as a lion, and he's going to redeem it all.
Did you get to see some of this play out?
So
like, what do you remember? Because you say that there's a lot you don't remember, but what do you remember about walking through the timeline that you saw?
Well, kind of what I described. I also saw Elijah, and I talk about this in chapter 26 of my book, I believe. But I saw that like when Elijah was surrounded by the chariots of fire, like they weren't just chariots, they weren't even just angels. It was Christ himself who was multi-dimensional and multi-personal, and like Christ himself was fighting for Elisha. And it was beautiful. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
It's incredible how much you do remember, honestly. Especially with the
so you roll through this timeline.
Yeah, it's incredible. I have a memory at all. Which
Gabe, you roll through this timeline with Jesus, and then is that the end of your time in heaven when you kind of come to the end of days? I mean, do you see the end of days? How does that
or the beginning of days?
Well, it's
neither, right? Because
100%. Yeah, you're touche.
But we are right up against the clock of what I call the door of grace. And the door of grace is truly right about to be closed. We truly are living in the last days and the end times. Now, people always make fun of you for saying that because they're like, you said that for 2,000 years and he still hasn't come back. So you're just, trying to clickbait people. But it's like, well, yeah, until it's the truth, like until you are in the last days. And so I saw that there's going to be two fires coming. And those that don't burn now in the fire of grace are going to burn in the fire of judgment. That's why it's important to burn now in grace. That's why it's important to say, the Bible says today is the day of salvation.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're living in the day of grace still. The Father is on the edge of his seat, holding all of heaven back, holding all of the armies of heaven back. He says, Jesus, just that one. I just want to wait on that one. He's literally just waiting for one more person to come to him.
Yeah. Makes me feel emotional just listening to you. I can see it in your eyes too. I can see how you had an experience that's forever changed you. I mean, I think all of us want that kind of relationship with a father, And so it's incredible to hear you say family, because that's what, when we interviewed Michael Heiser from the beginning, that's what he told us. And I've never forgot that line. Before he passed on, just like, I didn't think about it in family terms, but that's what it is. So what did you see at the end? What day of grace?
It's soon to be closed. That's why Jesus said, he that's faithful in the little is rewarded with more. He actually said that talking about time. So we are eternal beings, but there are many who don't recognize the importance of the present. And I saw how the hand of Christ extended in mercy to people more than they realize. And even after they die, actually, he still extends a hand of mercy. That's another thing. But
John Burke alluded to that a little bit.
Oh yeah. John will tell you others. I've actually talked with many who who actually like were falling into a pit of darkness, but yet the hand of Christ reached out to them.
There's those entities are wild.
Yeah. So again, we're given this time on this earth because it's our opportunity to say yes to him now. And actually, I was shown like we were actually called to rule and reign with him and be kingdom ambassadors of his kingdoms of many universes in the future, like of many. Oh man, like people ask me, what do you do in heaven? I'm like, oh my goodness, how much time do I have with you? Because, but it's like we're called to rule and reign with him. But if we're not faithful with this life on this earth, yes, you're going to heaven. It's going to be awesome, going to be glorious. But like, you also kind of won't be given as much responsibility as others. And there are gifts in heaven. There are responsibilities. Like
someone's got to pave those streets of gold.
Yeah, someone's got to dig those ditches.
Just a road worker.
Yeah,
just a road worker in heaven. Dang it!
Just mowing lawns up here, man.
I was just chasing too many ladies, and they made me the road man. Yeah.
Let's get back on track here for a second.
Yeah,
because I want to get your story to the end. So you see everything. Is that the end? Then does Jesus say anything to you about when do you? How does this? What continues in heaven, and when does that end? And does he tell you to come? You're going back?
I never want to leave. I made the decision from the start. I never wanted to leave.
Yeah, so you don't want to.
You make it quickly. You make that decision very quickly. Okay,
yeah.
It's like not even a decision. Like it's done. You don't want to leave. However, he looked at me and says, "Gabriel, you must go back and tell my family who I really am, and tell them I'm coming soon."
Wow.
And I'm coming to get them.
And then do you wake up in a hospital after that, or does he?
Pretty much, but no. I mean, he shows me.
Does he put you in a portal and he's like, open that one up?
So he shows me. He shows me actually the prayers of my family and friends at the time, and the words of life that were spoken over my decaying body. And he gathered up those prayers, and he actually gathered them up himself, put them in a golden bowl of incense. Revelations talks about this, actually. I saw that golden bowl.
Tangibly, you can see the prayers? I mean, what do they look like?
Yeah, like they're like structures. They're like
is that the incense bridges in the temple?
Yeah. They're like they're bridges. They're like roads, highways, but like a lot more foundational than just concrete. Like they form words are a big deal.
That's crazy.
And I saw these prayers, and also I saw like every prayer, even if we don't see it answered on the earth, it's answered in heaven, in eternity, and heaven is where the real truth exists. So I tell people, just because you like haven't had an answer to prayer yet, or you're like, don't give up, don't quit. Like, don't just limit God to your visual.
Yeah.
Or what you feel or what you want right away. Like, anyways, he showed me those prayers and he presented them to the Father, and I was actually sent back on these, like this structure, and I went back through the second heaven to the first, and I literally woke up in my body. I opened my eyes, look at the calendar. It was November 12th, 2021, which was 18 days from October 25th. And I said to myself, 18 days? That can't be right. I said, that can't be right. I was only gone for a couple minutes. And my family comes rolling in, the nurses, the doctors, they're like, what is going on? And then they ask me, like, do you remember anything? And I'm like, of course. Why are you being dramatic? And I tell them, I laugh at them, and I say, give me my skateboard. Let me ride it out of here.
So, no way.
No, I ended up selling it, but yeah, I did say that.
Did you tell them all what happened in that moment, or did you wait?
I waited because honestly, what had just happened to me felt so like, I was like, oh my goodness, they're never going to listen to what I say. Yeah. Like I was just, it was just so surreal.
Sure.
Like it was just like not something you can just throw out. And even on this podcast, you guys are getting things out of me that like are awesome, but I'm also like, it's challenging to talk about. Like,
yeah, I know.
Does it feel more real than this existence, like that? Being,
definitely. Oh yeah.
So it's like it's a different sort of reality.
Imagine you watch a movie and it feels real. And there's some good movies that like are even 3D or like in the theaters. You're like you're in it, right? But then like you live a moment, right? Take that and then times it by 1,000. That's how real heaven is. Like the life you're living right now on this earth is just a dim picture. It's just and the Bible talks about this in 1 Corinthians 13. It's just a foggy dream compared to how real heaven is.
You through
we see that.
A cloud of glass, dimly.
Cloud of glass.
Yeah. Passion of the Christ. He's making another movie. Mel Gibson, supposed to be talking about like what happens after.
Yeah.
Did you see like what happened after he was crucified? Where did he go and how did he?
Oh, after the cross. Yeah. He went to where we deserve to go.
Yeah. And what did that look like? What did you see?
He paid the price. He wasn't just there for 3 days, by the way. He was there for eternity. Yes, it was 3 days on the earth, but he paid the full price. We deserve to be there for eternity, the depths of hell.
Where is that
Where's hell?
Yeah.
So first heaven, second heaven, third heaven. But I would say heaven is like the -1 heaven. And it
hell,
goes
you
even
mean?
deeper. I mean, heaven, yeah. -1 hell, and then there's the -2 hell, and there's the -3 hell. There's different dimensions to hell. And then there's the lake of fire too. But yeah, all of hell is hell though. Like it's not where you want to be.
And there are souls trapped there. Is he going? Are they already dealt with when he's going down there, or what is that?
So
what does that look like to you, or what did you understand?
I was
about
just
it?
very aware that like he paid the full price of what I deserved.
Yeah.
He paid the full sacrifice of what I had earned.
Yeah.
And he did it for me. And then 3 days later, God raised him up from the dead and brought him out. And with it brought out like I think 400 or 500 others as well who came alive and walked around Jerusalem.
Yeah, that's one of the most fun Easter verses you can have.
Yeah,
the
people
dead
don't
woke
talk
from their
about that.
tombs and walked around.
Imagine seeing 400 people that like you read about.
We've asked a few people that.
But the reason, those people specifically weren't necessarily in hell though. They were in purgatory because they hadn't had a chance to believe on Christ yet.
Well, they're in Abraham's bosom, right? According
Exactly.
to the
Abraham's bosom,
cosmology
yeah.
of
People ask, well, where do you go when you die? Well, for anyone that dies now after the cross, they do go immediately to heaven. All those before the cross, they hadn't had a chance yet to receive the price because it wasn't paid yet. That's why Jesus told the guy to his side. Have you ever wondered, why did Jesus tell him you're going to be in like paradise or purgatory? Why didn't he say heaven? The reason is because the price wasn't paid yet. He was still on the cross.
Yeah, paradise and Abraham's bosom.
Abraham's bosom,
Hades
right.
and Sheol. And
how does it not change you? It has to, right? What specifically does it change? Does it change your outlook on reality? Does it change your? I mean, you've talked about how it changes your views of the work of Jesus and time and these things, but like, does it give you a sense of urgency to share the gospel? What does it give you?
Not just an urgency to share the gospel. Everything has changed about what actually matters. I don't need to make all the money or get all the accolades or followers or get people to approve of me.
Yeah.
I just want to tell one more person about who he really is. That's what matters. Because the only thing I took was my relationship with him and the moments I had with others.
Yeah.
So every day I wake up now, I thank him for grace. I'm on the credit of his grace, but it's just as miraculous as my life is. And now I'll show the photo. So that was the before, but then I miraculously came back to my body and look at my healed skull right there. Wow. And if you guys can go like before and after more faster, go from like there to there. You could see how the head was flat, blood a lot of places, and then it just got a lot better, just like that, and filled in.
how fast?
18 days.
Yeah, so that was a little longer than the 18 days. Yeah. But I went on to recover and walk, and my memory miraculously came back within about 24 hours. It fully came back.
Yeah, you should have been a vegetable based on...
Yeah, at best a vegetable. Yeah. So I was only half my weight at the time, but I gained back all my weight because I hadn't eaten in 3 weeks, like
that's wild.
Hadn't moved in 3 weeks. So
it's a fast. You were praying and fasting.
Yeah, you could say so. So yeah, and ever since then, and actually, I'm really thankful. I honor and appreciate the doctors and nurses. Ultimately, it was the grace of God that I'm alive, but I'm thankful for the doctors and nurses. He used them. And actually, this past year, I shook the hand of the doctor that cared for my lifeless body. There's him, and there's us visiting the ER, and I'm very thankful for him in the hospital. They did the best they could, and he himself shook my hand. He said, "God is real."
Really?
Yeah.
What did he think before?
I don't know what he thought before, but he said it in such a way that told me he really was touched by
incredible
what happened.
When you went to heaven, did you know you would come back, or did you know that was your mission?
So, like, not originally. Like, I didn't know I was really going to come back until he told me, "You must go back." But I also kind of did. That being said, like, I didn't think about it until he told me, but inherently, I kind of actually did know. Like, even looking at my dead body, I was like, "It's gonna be okay. Like, I'll be back." Like there's just knowing.
Okay.
Like a knowing where it's not like you're thinking about it, but it's just like, I'll be back. Like, hard to describe. But
yeah. But when he tells you have to go back, are you back like as quick as he says it, or I can't remember.
It's pretty soon thereafter.
Does he push you down the slide and you're heading back into the...
You could say it like that.
Gabe, how about...
You gotta go surfing. I mean,
it's
like Point Break. You just gotta do your last surf out there.
Yeah, well, dude, now we're talking about Point Break, dude. I want to see that one in 5 days.
There's beaches in heaven, bro.
Dude, I mean, maybe the 50-year storm. And Bodie up there, dude.
But I
wouldn't miss that.
I'll tell you, people really ask me about all the details, and I have to hand them the book because people are already telling me as they're reading this book, they're falling on their face and encountering Christ. And they are like literally experiencing what I experienced. And that's my prayer. And that's why he told me to write it. It's because it wasn't just for me. He wants everyone to encounter him today. And so I do really pray that they get this copy. It's probably released by the time they see this episode. I don't know when they're going to see it, but it'll be out by the time they see it. And I just pray that they open up their eyes, because this isn't just something to think about. Like, this is a person to encounter.
Do you get people that doubt you?
Of course.
How does that land for you?
Well, the hardest place is actually most churches is where I get the hardest pushback. I never really, I've made the decision, like, I'm not going to argue back and forth. If someone doesn't want to hear it, okay, blessings. Like, I don't need you to believe anything I'm saying. Like, just have a good day. Like, so I point them to scripture, though. I have an entire chapter in my book where I do answer the critics, and I reference how there's many encounters. In the entire book of Revelation is John having an NDE, and coming back and telling the story.
Yeah.
So,
do you think that's how a lot of those were written?
Oh yeah, like John had an encounter with Christ.
People say Paul might have had one as well.
Paul did have one, and people use that scripture and they're like, "Well, Paul said you can't even speak of the things you saw." Well, the things I can't speak of, I'm not speaking of. So
there you go.
You don't know what he told me to share with you and what he told me not to share with you. So, and also that scripture, you can't just take that as a cherry pick, and like you got to read it in full context. Yeah. But encounter, even Stephen, as he was being martyred in the book of Acts, had an encounter with Christ as he was being pulled up to heaven. So
that's where the revelation often comes from, actually seeing the stuff and not.
Daniel and Isaiah had encounters with Christ. Daniel even described Christ.
Yeah.
So
how do you see the biblical stories now than before you lived?
Before the accident.
Well, before I never understood the scripture in Acts. It says, "In him we live, move, breathe, and have our being." That didn't make sense. 1 John 4, that he is love, and that as he is, so are we. I'm like, okay, cool, before my encounter. But now, I'm like, oh, I am because he is.
Does John make more sense when he says all things are made by him, for him, and through him?
Yeah, it really does. Like, have you ever wondered what word did God speak? Like, you know how the Bible says, and the word became God and dwelled among us?
Yeah.
It wasn't just like Jesus, it was love. He spoke love into a body and made Jesus. The human Jesus, I like to say, but really, like, Jesus existed before he was in a human body.
Of course he did.
He's always been love.
Yeah.
He spoke love into existence. When he thought of you, he spoke love into you. When he thought of Luke, he spoke love into Luke and made Luke. Love made Luke. Love made Gabriel.
Yeah. This made me a little taller than Nate.
Yeah. Well, we talked about, like, maybe the angel of the Lord is pre-incarnate Christ, but I don't know.
I would say not just pre-incarnate Christ, because it's like, he's everywhere. He's everywhere. Like, there's no escape.
Does he wear shoes or is he barefoot?
Both.
Is he jacked?
You're not going to mess around with him. I want to describe him as like he's not like a bodybuilder. Like, he's not like.
Did you see? Wait, let me ask. Did you see anybody else?
But he has veins behind his muscles.
Did you see anybody else in heaven? Did you see like family members, ancestors, people that have passed on?
I didn't see them face to face. I knew they were there though. But can I tell you, all of heaven is family. You don't just have like grandma, sister, brother, like everyone in heaven is family. And there are those that like you remember, oh yeah, I lived on the earth with them. And like there is a memory and a glorious thing. But it's like you are just as much my brother as if I had an earthly brother. And so, but that's why Jesus prayed that we would live heaven on earth. And that's part of the reason he sent me back. He said, tell them they must understand heaven now, because I'm coming soon. I want my kingdom of heaven established now on the earth through my body.
That's exactly what the Bible says. I mean, the kingdom of heaven is near. It's kingdom of heaven. That's the way that the ancients understood it too. It's not distinctly different. It's not far. It's here.
Here.
Is Luke's French bulldog in heaven?
Dude, please, I hope so. Carl's got to be there, man.
The reason I laugh when people ask me questions like that, because of course, at least his French bulldog is in heaven. But it's not just like his French bulldog. There's pets in heaven that you have no clue how amazing they are. Well,
Carl was pretty freaking amazing, dude. I mean,
no, but of course there's pets in it. Like that's like
no.
What about donkeys? I heard donkeys are pretty cool down here.
Everything's in heaven.
They gotta
anything good. Oh well, no, but they're not as like they don't eat each other. Like there's not.
They play nice.
Yeah, they play nice. You could say it like that.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it really is. It's easier to do this interview now than when we started this, because we have a little bit of a framework. But human beings have so many barriers to understand the story. What what barrier do we have now? What would you say to somebody who's just hyper skeptical, can't see, can't feel? It's almost like I kick this dead horse of like the moment you can see the field of dreams and you're so skeptical to it until you can see it, and then you don't even know what it's like to be a human. You sound like you don't remember what it was like to be the person you were before you had this experience.
Well, I kind of do. I kind of do, but I've been so
like
touched.
Totally different.
Yeah, no, yeah. I've been so touched by this, but
not that
I will say people don't have to crack their skull in half to encounter him today. In fact, they'll be more blessed if they don't go through what I went through, if they'll believe him by faith. Yeah. And honestly, faith is a choice. We don't like to admit that, but it really is a choice. And you can be like Thomas and you can say, nope, I'm not going to believe until I feel and see him. And you'll encounter him. Your encounter will come, but you'll be a lot more blessed if you'll believe now. So I invite anyone now, take advantage of the time you do have and the chance you do have to choose him now.
So like Switchfoot said, there's a new way to be human.
There is. Are there any other creatures that are loyal to God besides humans?
Yeah, many. Many.
Like all
the seraphim, the angels. Angels
outside of angels, I guess. Angels and humans, other stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot. Even creation is loyal to God.
Yeah.
Why do you think Jesus?
Right?
Why do you think Jesus said even the rocks?
Yeah.
Like
folks
the
said there was
flowers
something in the water that made the trees grow tall, even come alive. But we hear like stories of like things that don't make any sense, of like Bigfoot saves a kid, and you're like, what? How's that even possible?
Well, yeah, pets save kids too, and dogs, cats. Yeah, it's because they have a vibrancy. They have a hymn to them. They sing of His glory. They also. Why have you ever wondered why like birds gather in the certain structures? There's videos now going viral of birds singing worship songs. And
what song? What's their favorite?
I forget what song it was, but it was a good one. I don't know. But it was pretty glorious
song.
Friends are friends forever.
People YouTube search it, they can find
Michael W. Smith.
That's close.
It's gotta be.
It has to be.
Stephen Curtis Chapman too. It could
be
that, So the book came out or is out when here?
April 7th is when it is fully released. So whether they're watching this a couple days before or after that, it's out for order now, no matter what. Even today, they could go and order it.
Amazon?
Everywhere they get a book, they can order it today.
Yeah.
Where can they find you and what you're working on? You've got an online platform and you do some things in the in that space.
Yeah, I just run a YouTube channel and I also travel down to campuses and preach the gospel as well. And
it's cool.
Actually, this is a completely separate point, but as someone who had people speak up for me when I had no voice, I now speak up for those who don't have a voice. So I speak up for the babies as well. And we were down at a college campus recently doing a petition. And we asked students, we said, hey, they're killing the puppies right before they're born because they're at capacity. Can you just sign this to help protect the puppies? And the students are like, oh my goodness, yes, protect the puppies. And we turn the page, we're like, oh yeah, this is the same petition just for human beings. And they walk away.
Jeez.
And they say, oh, puppies are cuter. So yeah, so we're exposing that spirit, but it's demonic. Yeah.
Good for you, man. So that's the Lord's work.
That's another part of what we do, but yeah.
Love it.
That's intense.
Gabe Poirot. The book is 18 Days in Heaven.
You didn't ask him, Luke.
What?
Do we get to surf in heaven?
Dude, there's probably like for me, the hope there's an endless left, bro, that just keeps
rolling. It reminds me of another question somebody else had. They said, are there TVs in heaven? First of all, of course you can surf in heaven, but like it's not like surfing on the earth. Like it's like I answered, but like TVs in heaven, like there's not just TVs. Like you watch something and then you're in the moment. And you're feeling the moment, you're experiencing the moment.
Dude, you're shredding that heavenly gnar, bro. Just sick pow and endless barrels forever.
What are we eating? What's for dinner?
You do, but you don't eat to live because you're living from His essence, from His being. And the eating is a fruit of His being, but it's not a necessity. Like you're not eating to survive. You're eating as a fruit of love.
Is it Mexican food? Because I really hope they've got Mexican
What about manna? Did you have a good old...
You guys have the questions.
You keep jumping on top of my last about Mexican food, bro. Don't move to manna.
Okay,
Mexican You're always food. In the carbs, man. I'm asking about...
The reason there's food in heaven is because God does give gifts and He makes chefs and and so there are like... If you're a chef on the earth, you're going to be chefing it up in heaven, but like on a different scale. So
there's some chefs that are bummed about that. I've been cooking all this time and I got to cook again.
That just means if I'm good at my Traeger, dude, I'm just going to be smoking all the sweet briskets, dude.
What is manna though? What is it?
What do you mean? Like bread?
The bread of heaven.
Bread?
Yeah.
It's Him. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. The food, you eat barbecue and you'll look at the sauce and you'll say, Jesus, you're beautiful. And you throw down a good Mexican plate or donut and you're just like
al pastor tacos. Just speak my
donuts
language.
made it to heaven. Wow.
Dude, they are the gift of the Lord.
and you eat it and you're just like,
From my waistline.
I didn't think donuts would make it up there. I didn't think they were holy enough.
Those are not evil, bro.
Actually,
Just down
they
here,
are
though.
holy.
We should end the show now. I mean,
It's time to end it. Man.
Thanks, Gabe.
oh, and I'm a dad now. My son
Let's
was
go.
born
Let's
6
go,
months ago. Guess what his
dude.
name is? His name's Elijah.
There we go.
He's a miracle. So holding my own baby in my arms after I died is pretty wild.
That is, talk about the greatest
that's
gift.
true.
You get.
And we weren't supposed to have a kid. Doctor told us we were infertile, but we laughed. So I knew the Lord would get the glory. See, he flips everything. And that's why I tell people, something doesn't work out, you should smile because God's about to work out. See?
It's awesome.
So mic drop.
Thanks, man.
Thanks,
I really
Gabe.
appreciate this. It was
Of
like
course.
100 miles an hour. But
We just let Nate's ADD brain run wild. Like fucking
that's how
Ultimate Warrior in the 80s, dude. You're just running wild.
I've been storing up
Like,
these
let's
questions.
jump in the Gabe's
pry
grab
into
bag.
this.
Yeah.
Years of
Brain
storing.
of a testimony.
Dude, heavenly grab bag, dude.
But it's awesome. Thank you. And I could just see the passion in your eyes and what you went through and how much it changed your life. And hopefully, for me, it's impactful. So thank you.
Same. Thanks, bro.